Guys, John Claymore here. Now, before we get started on this video on how to actually put a stop to these school shootings, or at least ways to or at least ways to deter them, I want to go ahead and kind of sort of mention that this video will also be going on short timer prepping as well. Now, guys, we could talk about the failures of the police. We could talk about all the failures by the law enforcement agencies not being able to get to this guy before he got into the school. We could talk about all we want, but I think at this moment in time, I think that right now we're at the point in time where we need to kind of be finding ways to sort of deter this. Now, guys, I got a little bit emotional in those last two videos that I made, and of course, they did not go on a short timer. I didn't exactly post those, and I'll explain that in later videos why I did not post those videos. And of course, those videos I had planned are going to be coming out this week on both channels. Now, guys, all of this stuff right now has led to a lot of back and forth between many people. I mean, people on the left are fighting with one another, people on the right are fighting with one another, people on the right and the left, of course, they're doing what they normally do. And of course, some of these videos are going to be left in the comment section itself. Now, I'm not going to be focusing that much on the failures here because there's been a lot of content that's been out there that's kind of sort of exposed the failures itself. 3 videos in particular, which, by the way, I will be leaving all 3 in the description box and in the comment section itself. What'll probably happen is that one video will probably go in the description box and the other will more than likely go in the comment section. Of course, these 3 videos are Officer Brandon Tatum, who, by the way, I think somewhat kind of simped for his brethren. I kind of sort of understood why, but I did not fully agree with his take on that right there. I'm not going to get very much into it because it was about 40 minutes and it was really kind of it was a bit of a rant and an explanation. Heavy Duty Country released a follow-up video or a response to him in which I thought that HDC made some very, very good points. But then again, though, at the same time, I'll let you guys be the judge of that by looking at both of them. I'm talking about just strictly how to stop this. But the person that I think most eloquently made all the points that need to be made about the police response was probably Sean Fitzgerald, like always, Actual Justice, where I highly suggest you guys go check out that channel, as you guys can see the video right here. I went ahead and showed you guys those 3 videos just in case you can't access them through the description box. So that way you guys will know exactly where to go find them. I highly advise you guys go watch all 3, do a bit of a contrast and a bit of a comparison on all 3. Of course, I'm not going to be bringing up a lot of that in this video because I think the time to actually start looking at what we can do is now. We can sit here and continue to blame the cops. We can sit here and continue to blame anybody and everybody in the world, blame the shooter, but I think at this point in time we need to try to find ways to actually deter this. And in no way, shape, or form will I ever betray this right here because this right here is just too daggone important, and we'll be talking about that more and more and more over the course of this week. The Second Amendment is an extremely important amendment. Of course, you got the left out there screaming and hollering for gun control and all that stuff right here. By the way, guys, I also wrote all this out. So if you see me looking down, this was the reason why. One more thing, too. One of the reasons why those videos did not come out, the videos that I promised, I've actually broken my right foot. My foot right now is not in the boot at this moment in time. At this point in time, I can kind of let my foot air out. But apparently I've got a fracture in it, and that's really kind of tough for me. Kind of sucks because it's the one that I push off on. And guys, I'll bring that up towards the end of the video because I'll be giving you more explanation on those videos to come. So let's go ahead and get back on topic. First and foremost, though, my personal thoughts on this matter is this right here. 40 minutes is just too long. I mean, why is it that a Border Patrol agent that was off duty and inside of a barbershop, I mean, give this guy a medal. I mean, this guy right here was obviously a hero, but at the same time, though, I don't think that this right here should have gotten that far. Also, something else, too, if your excuse is we didn't want to get shot, I'm sorry, man, but you know, you're a first responder, you're a police officer, you know, you're kind of sort of paid to do this. Now, guys, when I went through the law enforcement academy where I live at here, and of course when I was in the Marines, the language was completely different. When I went through the academy back in 2015, we had this thing called rapid deployment. Okay, rapid deployment training is something that we got, and they used to tell us all the time that we're bullet catchers. I personally did not like that term because I did not believe that we were, in fact, actually bullet catchers. I tend to think about like if you go on the offensive, you're going to catch them, not catching the bullets. You're going to put them down. If you get hit in the process, you get hit in the process of doing your actual job. I mean, parents were literally trying to move mountains to get to their kids, and of course we're finding out that one was tased. We're finding out the cops were holding them back. I get why they were holding them back, but at the same time, though, dude, 40 minutes? This right here is part of the reason why I had a bit of a problem with Brandon Tatum's take on this, whereas you guys will watch that video. I'm not going to go too far into that, but I highly advise you guys watch that and then watch Heavy Duty Country's response to it, and then also at the same time watch Actual Justice Warrior's response as well. But, you know, the thing is right here, more and more is coming out, and of course now cops are they're kind of admitting that, yeah, we made some mistakes. Let's just go ahead and kind of roll this little footage right here.
It was considered, okay, the decision was made on the scene I wasn't there. But at the same point in time, a decision was made that this was a barricaded subject situation. There was time to retrieve the keys and wait for a tactical team with the equipment to go ahead and breach the door and take on the subject at that point. That was the decision. That was the thought process at that particular point in time. Yeah, there was 19. Like I said, there was 19 officers in there. In fact, there was plenty of officers to do whatever needed to be done, with one exception, is that the incident commander inside believed they needed more equipment and more officers to do a tactical breach at that point. That's why BORTAC was requested on the scene. As soon as they were there, they executed a search, or at least a dynamic entry, and went in. And of course, that was not until 12. Right? I got it. Okay. Hey, from the benefit of hindsight, where I'm sitting now, of course it was not the right decision. It was the wrong decision. Period. There's no excuse for that. But again, I wasn't there, but I'm just telling you, from what we know, we believe there should have been an entry at that as soon as you can. Hey, when there's an active shooter, the rules change. It's no longer, it's no longer a barricaded subject. You don't have time. You don't worry about outer perimeters. And by the way, Texas embraces active shooter training, active shooter certification, and that doctrine requires officers. We don't care what agency you're from. You don't have to have a leader on the scene. Every officer lines up, stacks up, goes and finds where those rounds are being fired at, and keeps shooting until the
problem with hindsight is that it doesn't get us anywhere. It really and truly doesn't get us anywhere. And I understand that Uvalde, Texas's police department is small, but hindsight does not really and truly get us anywhere. So let me go ahead and kind of sort of make some proposals. First of all, we need to create choke points at these schools. Okay, we need to create areas where there's not that many entrances for people to get in, of course. And what I mean by this, and I know somebody in the comment section is going to say, well, what about teachers who need to get out? Well, here's the deal. If and Heavy Duty Country made this at this point in one of his videos where he said he thought maybe one entrance, one way in, one way out. I disagree with that, because next thing you know, you have a fire hazard. And I think that maybe the most legitimate point is the four main exits and the four main entrances. Unless, of course, you've got a classroom where there's an actual door there, it's going to be kind of hard to kind of get rid of that. So I'm not entirely in favor of creating just one way in, one way out. I am in favor of creating choke points. Now, something else, too, to go on top of this is that you need to have people who are actually patrolling the areas. Now, I have thrown this out here that I think that maybe not so much retired vets. I know I said retired vets, but I wasn't that detailed on that. I'm going to be very detailed here. What I mean by that is guys who've been out of the Marine Corps a couple of years. Okay, most guys when they join the military are like 17 and a half, 18 years old. I know I was 18 when I joined the Corps, and I was 22 when I got out. When I got out, even with some small injuries like my left foot and my left knee, and of course my back was messed up, I was still able to move around. As a matter of fact, even with this bad foot, I still get up and move around. As a matter of fact, when they said it was broken, I was a little bit shocked because I didn't experience any swelling or anything. So, but I'm still actually moving around, even though I've got a boot to actually walk around in, which, by the way, I'll probably unveil to you guys when I do a video in my normal spot where I sit down in the gaming chair. But the thing is this right here. We need to create choke points, then we need to have areas of patrol. We need areas that are actually being patrolled at all times. You can do this. School is normally open from 7 o'clock to 4 o'clock. I mean, it's a typical 8-hour shift. Of course, it's got an hour for lunch. Why not set up teams of 2 men at a piece? And by the way, they ain't got to be just all ex-Marines. They could be hunters. They could be straight up volunteers who are willing to do the job. Put 2 guys at each point, put 2 guys at each door, and also do the patrol angle. Also, something else too is why not also have 2 cops answer to 1 resource officer? The resource officer is obviously inside the school. They're the ones who handle the dispatch between the officers. You got 2 separate officers patrolling outside the school looking for threats right there. One goes on, one comes off. You can always rotate these guys in shifts. Another thing too, and I understand when we get to retirees, and by the way, a lot of retired military guys who are like in their early 40s, they're still in very, very good physical shape. Obviously, this Border Patrol agent here was obviously fit enough to go inside that school with that shotgun, which, by the way, he got from the barber to take down the shooter because he was in the barber shop and his wife happened to be a teacher inside the school, and she called him and he showed up. I mean, explain to me why his balls were much, much bigger than the cops. I mean, I really truly don't know how in the hell that happened. But the thing is this right here. Guard entrances only allow certain people in the school, people who actually work at the school, of course, parents, of course, when they come to pick up their children, especially if they're sick. Obviously, we're going to do that there too. Obviously, credentials need to be shown. Now, guys, really, really quick. I don't have any kids, okay? I don't have any children of my own, okay? I'm not going to give out any names or anything. I have a sister. obviously a brother-in-law, and I'm not going to give any names or anything, but if they need me to go pick up the kids from school one day, I normally go do that. Now, normally what happens is, and by the way, my sister is a school worker. I'm not going to give away the exact occupation she does there. But if she needs me to go pick up the kids, if they're sick or whatnot, and of course, my brother-in-law normally works he works a job that's not requiring him to be home all the time. A lot of times what happens is that she'll call the school that I'm going to go pick up the kids from, and I'll go in there and go do that, and they'll normally get cleared. Now, obviously, I live in a much, much smaller area. They go to school in the area that I grew up in, so they may know who the hell I am. But still, at the same time, though, even if, say, somebody is trying to, say, ask you to go pick up their kids, you got permission or whatnot, you still need to be able to show credentials. ID badge, all that stuff right there, okay? What's the old saying? You never talk with strangers. We teach that to kids at very, very young ages, and that information tends to stick. Of course, it should always stick as long as you're parenting them right. But the thing is this right here, create choke points, create areas to patrol at, identify possible threats. Veterans are probably going to be a little bit better at taking down those threats, and obviously in Brandon Tatum's video, he was going off about you can't just do things in the military. Well, my thing is this right here. If what you guys are doing as police officers, and like I said, we appreciate you guys doing what you're doing. I mean, I'm not all full back the blue, not anymore, okay? I think some of those guys can kind of be bootlickerish. I'm more along the lines of I understand that we need them. We should not be defunding them. But then again, though, my mind's kind of changed a little bit on a part of that right there, which, by the way, we'll cover in another video. But the thing is this right here. Create the choke points. Create barriers. Create anything and everything to keep an actual active shooter out. Put up fences, okay? Arm the staff. And also something else, too. Teachers, I understand that you may not want to carry a gun in class. We understand that. I get that. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe what can happen is that the guidance counselor or somebody who works in the office can be armed. Send Tom, send Bill outside. Let them kind of walk around the hallways in case, God forbid, one of these shooters get in, which, by the way, I don't think they will if you've got fences up and barriers. And people are going to say, well, that right there is just going to make our schools look like forts. Fuck yeah, dude. I want these kids protected. Friggin' put that damn fence up around, put up Jersey barriers and crap, have Marines posted at each at the four main entrances, okay? Do that right there and have, obviously, patrols. These right here are our kids. By the way, there's a lot of guys right now who are going to be out of work, especially considering this economy, that are going to need some work. Most of them are probably going to be veterans who just got out of the military. Give them the job. Pay them a good $14 to $18 an hour. Pay them very, very well. They go there 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. They get a 1 hour lunch break. They rotate with other fellow veterans. Make sure that they meet certain height and weight standards. I mean, this crap right here is not rocket science. By the way, the resource officer in the Parkland shooting, he was kind of like old and out of shape. Shouldn't we be having police officers who are actually in shape? I understand the job. I understand the job is a career of back problems, okay? I understand it. You got to wear all that stuff right there. You can't work out. You can't PT like you used to. Bring in relatively young dudes. Bring in guys who've been on the force like 4 or 5 years at a time. Who've only been like 4 or 5 years. Guys who are still relatively in good physical shape. Bring them in to work with said vets at the school. Let it be Marines. Let it be retired airmen. Let it be retired Navy, retired sailors, retired soldiers. Do that right there. Give these guys a job. Let them protect your kids. Put up actual boundaries around the school so that way it's much, much harder, much more difficult for people to go in. And also something else too, when you're out there with your weapons, actually have the weapons out. If they know that they see a weapon, then they know that somebody is armed. Also something else too, guys. Yeah, my finger's bleeding right now. But also something else too is that if you are keeping them out of the schools, even if they exist, you're giving law enforcement more time to properly vet these people. And by the way, that right there may be another video for another day. But basically, at the end of the day, this is not really and truly that hard. I mean, guys, we're sending $40 billion over to Ukraine. Okay, we're sending $40 billion to Ukraine, a non-NATO country, but yet we can't put $40 billion into security for our kids. I know this where it sounds very, very repetitive, but come the hell on, man. This is our freaking kids. Look, man. TSA, airports have got armed security. I mean, cops, dude, the cops are armed. I mean, Hollywood actors have got armed security. Why can't we protect our freaking kids? Guys, John Claymore here. I just figured I would make this video right here to kind of sort of give some ideas of how the hell we can actually stop these shootings from occurring, especially these mass shootings at these kids at these schools. By the way, guys, these schools are soft targets, okay? Soft targets are all gun-free zones. Arm people at the school. By the way, if you're a teacher and you're very, very much against it, I want you to ask yourself a question. What's more important, protecting the kids or walking around with 4 extra pounds of gear? I mean, it's not that hard. It's a gun. It's a couple of magazines. I mean, come on. Do you care about the kids or not? Guys, John Claymore here. If you like this content, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, leave a comment in the comment section. This video right here will also be on both channels. It'll be out tomorrow on Tuesday. By the way, guys, happy Memorial Day. Remember the real reason for Memorial Day, and I'll see you guys later.